You know what? Like, having autism is like one of the weirdest things. Like, you look at things through a different perspective, and some things that normal people do just kind of doesn't like. It doesn't make sense sometimes. Like, sometimes I'm just imagining things where, like, I can kind of feel like I can just see things like some people don't get. Like, for some reason, like, my brain can kind of predict whenever somebody's about to do something. I'm like, okay, that's about that thing is about to fall off the shelf, and they don't realize it, and then like 2 seconds later the thing immediately falls off the shelf because they didn't put it back on the shelf at the store properly. I don't know, I kind of see weird stuff like that. You know, monsters are kind of cool. I think monsters are just the easier things to kind of draw. I like drawing monsters, not only because I'm like an artist, but also because I am an autist. Anybody else remember whenever that freaking Zootopia abortion comic was kind of going around on the internet? Can we, like, go back to the weird days whenever the internet was, like, less toxic and we were just looking at a bunch of random shit and then making fun of or talking about that stuff without being at each other's throats with the knives, and everybody's currently, like... I'd say currently, like, right now, everybody's just kind of, like, got a gun to each other's heads, or... Oh, you made that character 3 inches too short. You're tall-phobic. I'm pretty sure there's like a lot of people that are tall-phobic against me because I'm tall. Is tall-phobic even a thing? I kind of feel like that's a thing, but that sounds a little too stupid to be a thing now that I think about it. Or does anybody else get like a weird sense of enjoyment like out of stuff like cutting grass? Like, I know it sounds weird, nobody likes chores and stuff like that, but then I just like cut grass, and then for some reason the smell of cut grass is just like really good. And ironically, that makes me think about like the color green, which is like one of my favorite colors. I don't know why green is like one of my favorite colors. It's just kind of like one of those... It always feels calm to me. Kind of like how I think purple is also kind of calm. Which, ironically, calm, like, purple makes me think of, like... Does it make me think, like, stuff like wisdom and shit like that? That's kind of what I'm thinking. I think one thing that's, like, really weird is, like... I have, like, these weird moments where I can look at something completely normal. Like, I'm looking at this mirror right now, and I'm just imagining, like, the corner of it bending over like a piece of paper. Just random stuff like that. Or like that smudge that's currently on the wall, just kind of reaching out, growing like an arm. Or actually, now that I think about it, looking at that smudge, I feel like I could draw an eyeball on it, but then I don't want to ruin the paint on the wall, and that would just be very bad. I think I'm going to grab I think I'm going to grab something and I'm going to clean that. I think it needs to be cleaned. Anybody else sneeze whenever they look at the sun? I have like this really bad habit where I'm constantly fidgeting my legs. Like, I don't know why. It's just kind of... I think it's like a weird moment where I'm just kind of like... trying to keep myself active, if that kind of makes sense. But every time I start fidgeting my legs, it causes everything in the room to kind of shake. Does anybody else have that problem where they're just kind of fidgeting, and then all of a sudden the table and stuff starts shaking? I don't know. I feel like that's kind of a bad thing. Actually, come to think of it, my coffee's starting to shake. I should probably drink that later. Anybody else kind of suck with, like, directions? Like, that's one of the problems that I always kind of have. Like, somebody starts giving me directions, and all of it just kind of, like, goes over my head, or in one ear and out the other, and I'm like, okay, I think I'd probably be better off with Google Maps. But then immediately they always try to get like, no, it's over here, like by the gas station off to the left side up on unnamed street that I can't memorize. Anybody else have problems like memorizing street names and stuff like that? Or is that just a me thing? No, I'm pretty sure other people kind of have that. I can't be the only one that's like... I'm not a main character or shit like that. That would just be weird. You know, come to think of it, I'd probably be a very terrible main character in general. I wouldn't be able to get much of anything done. I'd be stuck in my own little routine, which ironically makes me think about routines. I think one problem that I always have is like whenever a schedule is disrupted. Like I'm used to like this sort of routine where a schedule and shit is like set in stone. Like I've had the same schedule for maybe like 4 or 5 months. As a bit of an example. I always wake up at the same time every morning on the exact same days. And then all of a sudden, without warning, the next day is like, hey, your schedule changes, or let's just say your routine is disrupted, and it causes you to get a little hot-headed, if that makes sense. Like, it's hard for you to comprehend and stuff like that, so it's very difficult to get your mind around it, or adjust yourself to the point where you can actually, I don't know, do the thing that you're supposed to do. That's why I always prefer, like, if I get, like, maybe a week, or 2 weeks in advance, then I can actually, like, plan around that. I kind of had, like, this moment the other day where I just kind of, like, had, like, an existential realization that I can blink. I think about it, and then all of a sudden, as soon as I realize I can blink, I realize I can breathe. Then I look down at my little hands and I realize, ooh, I can make those things move. And then I realize, oh shit, I'm alive. How the hell am I thinking? How am I blinking? Then I look in the reflection and it feels like I'm looking at a stranger sometimes. Like it's like a weird out-of-body experience or shit. Like, as soon as I have that, like that realization that you exist, and then kind of hard to get your head around, if that makes sense. I don't know. If I suddenly just made somebody realize that they exist, I deeply apologize, but I also do not apologize because I made myself realize that I exist, and now it's going to be bothering me until I forget that I exist. I'm always afraid of, like, trying, like, new things. Like, it's kind of like the same, I guess food's probably the best comparison that I could probably make up. Like, thinking about, where the hell was I going with this? I think one problem that I usually have is that I'm not really good with, like, loud noises. I think that's always a bit of an issue where, something like metal hitting, like, metal, like, very loudly in, like, an enclosed space, let's say, like, a small room that has like a metal floor or something like that, and then hearing the metal hit the metal just kind of sounds like somebody's scraping a trash can against my ear. If that makes that probably doesn't make sense, but it sounds like somebody's blowing a trumpet right in front of me. Like they're going all in on that. It's loud. I'm not really good with super duper loud noises just because it doesn't really do well with me. Kind of feels like a million things are kind of yelling at me at the same time whenever it's only like one noise that's going off, which kind of sucks. Which is why I never go to stuff like concerts. Well, then again, I don't have anybody at IRL that would actually go to a concert with me. Then again, I don't like concerts in the first place, so I can't really go because I'm pretty sure I'd bust my eardrums out, not even getting near the crowd. Oh god, I'm not really good with like a lot of people being around in an area too, like enclosed spaces, large amounts of people. Always makes me feel like super duper claustrophobic. Which is weird because I am kind of claustrophobic, but I've been trying to like get out of that. Like learning like breathing exercises, getting into elevators and stuff like that. I think I started with like a large freight elevator, which is like the super. It's bigger. It's about the size of my room, I would say, same size. But like then I worked my way down to being able to go into those single person elevators, in which those are a little bit better. Those are a little bit better. I can actually breathe somewhat. But like crowded people, too many people, not really good at that sort of thing. I have like this really bad habit where sometimes I'll swap over to a different voice just for the shits and giggles, and then some people actually kind of get a little annoyed whenever I do that. I think that's like one of the worst things that's about like changing your voice. I started getting into like this really bad habit where I try to experiment a little bit, but then it annoys people that are around me. Kind of like why I like YouTube. I can actually do that stuff and it won't annoy people too much. And if it does annoy them, well, I'll just take that as constructive criticism. In which case, if they're doing non-constructive criticism, then we might have a bit of a problem. In which case, just do that and then not even think about it. YouTube is weird. You watch like one video, and then all of a sudden it recommends you like 10 million videos that probably have nothing to do with the source material. Like, I once watched this like one video where it involved like a bunch of cute little kittens. Then all of a sudden, for some damn reason, it just recommended a bunch of VTuber videos later on. I'm like, what the fuck does this have to do with anything? Like, why am I getting recommended this? Come to think of it, why do I keep getting recommended VTuber stuff when I don't even watch VTubers? Nothing wrong with VTubing and people like that. Hell, I'm a PNG tuber. I just put like a bunch of pictures all over anywhere, but I don't know. Do I sound like I'm mumbling? It's probably because I sound like I'm mumbling a little bit. Anybody else ever like moments where you just want to don't bonk yourself for no apparent reason? I don't know why I do that, but it's just like, it just kind of happens. I know I have like this really bad habit where I'm constantly apologizing to people for like the smallest things, where if I accidentally like hit the back of their foot with my feet because I'm walking right behind them, and I take like super big steps because I am tall, and I apologize like profusely, and they're like, don't worry about it, don't apologize, and then I immediately start apologizing even more. Is that like a normal thing? No, it probably is not a normal thing. I know people don't do that. I just have a really bad habit of doing that myself. You know, our bodies are like weirdly designed. Like if we're just like missing like one major part, it affects like the entire fucking system. Like sure, you can live with like one lung and one kidney, but your lifestyle will change drastically because congratulations, you're literally missing a fraction of your system. It's like what happens if you go to a computer and it's like missing like one part, the entire thing falls apart, except for our bodies. We're just trying to compensate for like the parts that are missing. Meanwhile, the computer is just sitting there dead, staring at you with its blank USB port. Am I still recording?